Hello, it's Mr. Cove with another Skull and Bones video. Today we're going to be talking about the Helm Empire, and all the ways to interact with their systems, including going in depth in the manufactories here at the end. First of all, what is the Helm Empire? Basically, it is the pirate faction within Skull and Bones. It involves the kingpins, yourself. A lot of the storyline involves dealing with the Helm Empire. We're basically fighting against the mega corporations, against the Dutch and the French. So what activities are there with the Helm Empire? First of all, let's go to our hotkey here and go within one of the dens and look at all the stuff available to us. All right, so first of all, we have items that are associated with the Helm Empire. These are acquired through a different variety of activities. You're going to just by playing normally, you're going to get them, and then doing Helm specific activities, you can go farm for them or get more or whatever. These are useful for a few different things. First of all, let's look at the laboratory here. Here you see all the items that you can interact with within this den. The other den, you're going to be able to interact with the rest of them. These gold items are the higher end versions of the other items here. So essentially you make these, and then you can take those and make them into the higher end products. Now basically everybody's going to want to interact with these items. You do have things that you can buy from Skurlock and the Admiral with their respective items that you can make at their dens, and you may want some of those items. If you don't want any of those items, there are secondary uses for those as well. So let's look at the tree here quick, the Helm tree. We're going to be going over the tree in full, but as we're talking about each of these specific items, I want to look at where within the tree you kind of want to be interacting with these things. So a lot of this is going to be at the top here. This is stuff to do with manufactories on the bottom, and then you have the three on each side for the factions, and then up top is going to be really where you're interacting with the Helm activities and the items themselves. All right. So first of all, these two just speed up the process for making items. This isn't really necessary unless you're really farming for these and want to pump them out and have a use for them right away. They're cheap upgrades though, so I did go ahead and upgrade those. And then this is the important one here that pretty much everybody that's interacting with these items wants to spec into. This is essentially going to give you a 30% bonus to everything you make within the laboratories and distilleries. So if you use 100 product to make a 100 product, you're going to get on average 130 back. And so then this also doubles up, for example, when you're making the premium products here. These right here, where it requires 2 of the original product, that's also going to get a 30% bonus on top of it. So for example, you make 100 of these, you're going to get about 130 back, and then you're going to make 65 of these, and then you're going to get a 30% bonus on those 65 as well. So you're going to get about 80 something out of your finished product instead of just 50. So that's definitely something you want to spec into if you're making any of these, and almost everybody that plays is going to want to at least interact with this system here. All right, so let's go out of here real quick. We're going to get to the Kingpin. All right, so now we're at the Kingpin here in Telok. Now the option to buy and sell from them isn't available immediately, but it's something you'll get through by doing the main story quest line. So let's go ahead and look at that. This is the first use for these Helm items. You're going to see a cost associated with everything. There are base item prices as well as the premiums. And if there's anything you want here, that is the kind of the first use for those items. Now you can also sell to her as well. And the respective items that you make within each den are worth 125 silver for the original product, and then the upgraded gold version of those products are worth 250. Now let's go back to the Helm area here. You can just see a cost with these. Alright, so you see it's 5 silver to make each of these, and then 10 silver for these. So you are taking a hit there, but by speccing into the tree to get 30% more product, you're going to make that back. So with the cost and with that 30% boost, each original, like say sugar cane or whatever the base product that you get that you can turn into these materials, is worth about 191 silver per. So they are worth a lot, and it is something that can be used for a silver making activity. It's not quite as good as say guild marks and then buying chests, but it's a close second, and any surplus material that you have can just be sold to the kingpins, but again for their respective items. You're only going to get half as much selling the wrong product to the other kingpin, so never do that. Always sell the ones that you can make in that den to that kingpin. Alright, let's go over the next thing here. Next way you're going to interact with the Helm Empire is through the order registry here. Alright, and what you're going to see here are ways to take that product and turn them into pieces of 8. Now you have standard orders. Those are going to be docks where you go in and go find the guy and sell him the products. And then the roving orders here are going to be ships that have a small area within it to go find that ship, and then you can go sell the product for the pieces of 8 there. Now the problem with these are that you are unable to fast travel to them. For example, let's say these 3 are kind of close together. You would want to be based in the other den to start. Once you accept these quests, you are not able to fast travel. So you'd want to go to this den. Let's go ahead and do that. And these same quests are going to be available within each den, so these don't change. The only reason you'd want to go to one den versus the other is to make the different products. You see, you saw the list of products that you could make. The other one, and see these are all different, just the base items and then their upgraded versions here. All right, so say we wanted to do these 3 because they're kind of close together. We could go ahead and do that. We'd go ahead and take the quest. We want to be in this den to start them. If we were to accept them and then decided we wanted to fast travel, we would have to delete those quests, but they wouldn't come back as available to us. There'd just be new quests that show up later. All right, so let's say we wanted to do all these 3. Cool. And then we'd take, kind of our fastest ship probably and go from here and hit them in order. Once we completed all 3, our fast travel options would be open to us again, so we could just go to the nearest port and head back to a den. These standard orders, let's go ahead and go in the tree. Say if we wanted to do these. These aren't the most efficient things in the world, but if you'd like to do them, let's look at the tree and see how we'd want to spec in our tree here. Okay, so the first thing we'd want to be looking at in the tree if we wanted to do these activities is right here, the better deals. This is going to increase the pieces of 8 that they give you by 75%. Now there is also something you can do with the roving deals. This doesn't work for the missions that are just docks, but for the ships, you can go over and actually not give them anything and just kill them and take their stuff. Now, if you do enough damage to them and are able to board them, you can spec into this and then get 100% more. That's, you know, also multiplied by this. So, for example, you take this, you're going to get 400, say, it raised it up to that. You could also board them, and now you're getting 800 total for doing that. Now, if you do attack these ships, these are Helm ships, you're going to be marked for death for an hour. So let's kind of look at what you might want to do if you decide to do that. All right, so you can also do, you can get marked for death. Now, if you don't mind being marked for death, fine. That is going to spawn ships. They're going to basically be attacking you for the next hour. I don't particularly like that, but I don't usually do these deals anyways. But if this is an activity that you like to do, you can get rid of those marks by going on rogue hunts. And what these are ships that you're going to go kill, and you're going to get like sugarcane off this rogue here. And then you can spec into this as well. So we're going to go back into our tree here. And then at the top, you see these reduce your marks by 10 minutes. So if you're going to fully spec in this, it would be 30 minutes. So you could go attack the roving orders, board them, get double the product while not giving them anything. And then if you wanted to get your mark off, you can go do 2 rogue hunts, and each of those would take 30 minutes off, you know, or maybe, you know, you just do 1, and, you know, by the time you do that, the other mark is almost off or whatever. But that's basically how you want to combine those to get a little better outcome. You know, more pieces of 8 from the roving orders, and then the rogue hunts to get the marks off you. All right, let's look at the next thing that you can interact with here. All right, and that's supply deals. This is kind of the way the other one worked too. The supply deals are going to be ports where you can just go there and buy product. So you can get, you know, 60 sugar cane for 600 silver. So that's just 10 per, and then you could take that product. And again, if you're fully spec'd in the tree to make the premium product, it's worth about 191 silver per. So if you were just doing this, you're kind of role playing that, you know, you're just a merchant and you're making products and selling them. You can see there is a giant profit margin on these. Okay, and then the supply deals here, the roving ones, you can do, you know, just by buying them again, or you can attack them and then take their product. Again, you're going to be marked for death on those, and then you can do the rogue hunts to remove that if you felt like it. All right, so the rogue hunts are all listed here, and these will refresh regularly, so if you need to get your marks off, you can do that. These are worth a little more, you can see, compared to like the supply deals, but again, you're able to just port to these and do them. So now the plunders are what I like to do within these systems we've looked at so far. We are able to get 5 of these at a time, I believe, and they can double up. As you can see, there's 2, well, they can more than double up. So you see that these are both for the same fort, and you can take both of these and do them at the same time. And actually, let's look at what I have in my quests real quick. These do show up in the journal. You can see I have fort plunders here. And I have actually 6 of them, okay. But you see I have 2 for Premi, and then I have 3 for Ulster, and then 1 for something else. So I like to have at least 2 of these to go do a plunder, and you can just accept what they have, um, and then maybe say I can go do this and get 3 quests off the book, and then get some more, and I won't do this one until I have a second one available to me. Now the way this works, you do have to get to the end of the plunder, so if you have a ship or a build or whatever is not able to do these solo, you are going to want to request help, especially with this one. This is definitely harder on my Brigate. It's not a problem, but you get the reward at the end of the plunder. So this is a 7-step one. You'd have to get all the way to the end to get this, and you see what you get is quite a bit, right? So you're getting 1,000 in there per. Now let's look at the tree. All right, we're gonna be interacting with these plunders at all. We want to go to this one. This is just going to give us 30% more product for those plunders, make it more valuable for us. Now, if you are doing these plunders, that is a lot of product, and they are very heavy. So even on my frigate that's able to carry almost 100,000 cargo, at the end, these are going to overburden me. Maybe even one of them, but 2 and 3 definitely. So what you kind of want to do at the end of these plunders is be close to the chest that spawns and try to grab that before the quest rewards hit you. The quest rewards will go into your cargo regardless of the room. You'll just be overburdened, but able to pick up like the last quest reward, which is important on the, you're getting the best reward at the end of the plunders. You kind of want to get that before the rewards hit your ship, which will be like, a couple seconds after completing the plunder. So you want to do that real quick, get that chest, and then now what being overburdened will do to you is not allow you to fast travel, and it'll slow your ship down. You won't be able to fully set your sails. So being as overburdened as I'm going to be, say with doing that plunder that has 3 quests, I'm going to crawl back to the next fort at like 5 kilometers per hour or something, so, or 5 knots, whatever the system is there. So it's going to be very slow, but again, I'm getting triple the rewards for that plunder, so that's how I like to do them, and I do think it's valuable to do those. Now, let's look at the tree again. There's a couple other things here on the top. So this is interacting with the job boards at each den. There's this here, and then I put a point in to kind of check to see how that was going to work. For one, the job boards just aren't worth doing from what I can tell, and then the amount of product that they add to these rewards is almost nothing. So I would not bother speccing into these unless you're just like, I like doing job board stuff, so you get a little extra for doing that. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. But that's where kind of the last of this top tree interacts with things. All right, now let's get to the big thing. We're going to talk about manufactories here. All right, all of these dots here, and we're in our Helm menu here. Oh, by the way, let's look at something real quick. You have the tree can be interacted with over here, but there's never a reason to actually come to this. The only reason to come to this room, and there's a hotkey to get to it in each den, are for these 3 things. This is the same exact tree that you can just get through wherever you are in the menu. So there's no reason to go here just for your tree. All right, so let's go over what manufactories are here real quick. Basically, these are factories that you own, and they're going to produce either pieces of aid or goods for you. And as far as what the devs have said, that this system is no longer going to get wiped, that it is persistent through season, so it is something that you can invest into long term. The previous iterations were more valuable, apparently. They wanted to tweak the systems and whatever, but they're saying they're happy with it now and are no longer going to get wiped. So you can think of these investments long term, over the course of however long you're going to play. So let's just look at one real quick, just to go over. Let's go over a level 5 one here. All right, so you have a bunch of options here on what these things can make. These are locked because I have not spec'd into making products for these, but that can be done within the tree, and we'll look at that later. And then these are basically just different options to make products. You don't actually get these products. What these are doing is just making pieces of 8, and so you want to just select whichever one's making you the most. This will clear whatever pieces of 8, for example, you see on the bottom there's a silver cost to swap production, and it'll also wipe the pieces of 8 that they currently have. So right now it has 489. You'd want to collect that before swapping production. The only reason you'd want to do that with this is if you wanted to make one of these, you would spec into it. But each of these have a different list of items and options for piece 8. But again, you're not getting this silver snuff. It's not making that for you. It's just basically selling that and giving you the pieces of 8 per hour. All right, so this is level 5. They go up to level 5, 1 through 5, and then we'll kind of go over how these work in the beginning. All right, so let's look at the tree. As you're going through the main story quest, you're eventually going to be given the first opportunity to get a manufacturer. And I don't believe that's random. They just give you one. I don't remember which one it is. And then from there, you're going to start to get opportunities to acquire more. You start with the ability to get up to 8 of these. Some of them do start at level 2. It'll just kind of show you, when the opportunity occurs, if you're getting a level 1 or 2 version of it. And then we can upgrade these all the way to 5. So after you acquire your first one, you're also going to get Helm leases, and those allow you to just acquire more anyone you want. Well, not anyone. There's general Helm leases that allow you to pick anyone on the map, and there are 76 of these. And then there's also Helm leases for specific regions, so it might just be Africa. So you might get one of those, and you have to pick something that's within that. And those Helm leases are just for new manufacturers that you don't currently own. Now, initially, you start with the ability to have up to 8. We're going to look in the upgrades here. Now, this bottom of the tree is going to work with manufacturers. So this is giving you the ability to get another 8. And so you'd want to spec into this when you're getting close to being full on your 8. And then this is the next most important node on the tree here. What this allows you to do is any manufacturing opportunity that pops up on the map, and these pop up every 20 minutes, and they do it on the hour, and then, for example, 6 o'clock, 6:20, 6:40, and then again at 7. So you can know when these are going to pop up. You do need to be in the server at that time, so if you log in at 6:02, these have already popped up, and you won't see them, except for, I think, manufacturing buyouts. You'll still be able to see those. But anyways, this allows you to upgrade your manufactories without paying a price. Let's just look at manufactory over here. So, for example, level 3. See at the bottom here, I can upgrade this, and it's going to cost 5,000 to go from 3 to 4, and then it'll cost 10,000 to go from 4 to 5. So instead of that, we can wait to get a manufacturing opportunity for this particular one, and it'll raise it up from 3 to 4. Now this node only can get you to 4, so it can go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. It can't go to 5. You do have to manually choose to upgrade any manufacturing to get it up to level 5. And then you see there's other nodes down here to increase your total number, and this goes up to 76. So basically your strategy is most people are going to want to acquire new ones whenever a new manufacturing opportunity pops up, and then once you get close to your max, you want to be spending pieces of 8 to get your max up. And these are all down on this, and then let's look at this as well. Now you have a tree for each faction as well, so you see all 6 there. Let's just look at one of them. Now the total level that you can bring your manufactories up by default is level 2, and then you have to spec into each of the factions trees to increase that further. So this first one would allow it to bring it up to 3. And then this next one is going to bring it up to 4. And then this last one would bring it up to 5. And you do that through each faction. You see it has the same nodes, same order, and you want to do that for each one. So it's important to upgrade like these initially. You can just get the first one within each tree once you've upgraded your manufactories to level 2, and then as your factories are getting bigger, you want to keep going through each of these trees and get them to level 4. Now level 5 can wait till later, basically because that's a manual thing. So this node here works up to level 4, so you want to be getting that effect every time you do a manufacturer opportunity on a manufactory that you own. You want to be getting this bonus up to level 4. But once you have them spec'd into being able to get to level 4, you can wait on level 5 till later, because that is going to cost 10,000 pieces of 8, and that's going to be something you do towards the end after you probably have all 76 manufactories and you've leveled them up considerably. And obviously it's going to coincide with whatever you're spending on your ships as well. Okay, let's talk about the different type of opportunities that do pop up every 20 minutes here. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is what they will look like. So we have a solo opportunity here, PvP, a buyout, another PvP, and another PvP. Doesn't look like we have any defenses. So the only thing missing there is the defenses. Let's go ahead and go over what each one does here. First of all, let's look at the solo one. This either gives you a new manufacturer, it can upgrade it if you're spec'd in your tree and it's low enough to be available for an upgrade up to level 4. That would show up there. And then it's also going to give you pieces of 8 and going to give you 2 chests. Now let's look at the difference between the chests between basically the solo and the PvP types. There are better rewards for the PvP, for the buyout, and for the defenses. For the solo opportunities, you're going to get the silvery raider cache. You're going to get 2 of these. Let's go ahead and open these, and I'll kind of show you the difference between what you get here. Alright, so you got about 80 of these, you got some silver. Get some repair kits sometimes. Yeah, the biggest difference between the gilded Raider cache and the other one here is the potential to get Helm leases. Now, this isn't a large chance; it's maybe about 5%, but you are going to get them. So these can allow you to get new manufactories if you're not up to the cap yet. So those can be really good. And then the other difference here is you're going to get about twice as much product. I did get a lease there, nice. See what this is, and they just come as open, so these are available for any of the three regions. Okay, and so the other biggest thing is just you're going to get about twice as much product. So you're going to get the Helm products with each of these, and then some silver. So, but the Helm lease and the kind of double the products, the big difference between the two. And then you're also getting more than twice as many pieces of 8 by doing the PvP and other activities versus the solo. So, what are the benefits and negatives of doing each of these? First thing is the solo one. You don't have to worry about anybody showing up, obviously, to compete with you. The timer is also going to start once you get into the area, and it's going to go down to 30 seconds. So even if it says it's starting in 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the solos are going to pretty much start right away for you. The PvP one, you have to worry about other people showing up, and if you're a beginner and up and coming, likely if anybody shows up, they're going to crush you. So if you show up and they show up early within the timer, I would suggest just quitting that event and going to something different. Go to a solo one or something. It is a PvP event, so we shouldn't be annoyed if someone else shows up. Some people are going to show up right before the timer goes off, or even after the timer goes off, where you've already started the event. And if they kill you once and twice, unless you're right at the end of the capture, the chances are they're gonna knock you out and take it. So unfortunately, that can happen. Most of the time, when you go into a PvP event, people aren't going to join it for the manufactory, but there are going to be occasions when they do. And if you are the type of person that gets very frustrated by that, you don't want to play that game, and you're only doing the PvP event because it's worth more and you're really going to get annoyed, then maybe they're the type of person that goes to the solo event if at all possible, right? A reason you might do a PvP anyways, it's a manufacturer you don't own, or it's going to give you an upgrade where nothing else on the map is going to, then maybe you take your chances. But just know that people are going to show up for those sometimes, and sometimes they're just there to troll you. They know you're not going to be able to do anything about it, and they show up even after the timer starts just to, kind of force you into PvP. But it is a PvP event, so it's not something that we should, look at as someone, shouldn't be there with us. It just is what it is. All right. The next type of event is a buyout. Basically what this is, it gives you PvP rewards. It does have a timer on it before it even shows you what you need to do it. So it isn't something you want to join, like 5 minutes before or something. And then the costs can vary. It seems very random. It can cost you silver, it can cost you commodities, it can cost you wood. Generally, these are worth doing as well. They do give you 2 gilded chests. They do give you 1,080 pieces of 8. And all you have to do is go to the port and find the guy, and you can fast travel to the port, obviously, and then you get the reward out of it. Now, if it's something that's a very important item, and you're fairly new, and then maybe it's not worth doing it. Or you're really starving for silver or something, you want to pay the 30 or 50,000 cost to it, so be it. But most of the time, you're going to want to do these. It's just going to a vendor and getting the reward. The last type is going to be a defense. Now, how this used to work is that it would disable the production and maybe even knock out the pieces of 8 from that manufacturer if you didn't do it. That isn't the case anymore. There's no negative for not doing it. You can just not do them. They do give the highest rewards. They give the same piece of 8 and the gilded chest that the PvP events do, but they also give more silver, and they do also boost. Let's go ahead and look at this for a second. Boost the production of the manufactory that you did it for the 15 minutes. Okay, so we see on the right hand side it says supply run inactive, and it says deliver poppy times 60. What this does is jack up the production for whatever happens to be doing. So in all of my manufacturing it would just be pieces of 8, and it boosts it, I think, by 400%. Now, what does that mean? 400% for 15 minutes essentially gives you an extra hour of production. So by doing that, you would get another 15.8 pieces of 8. That's fine for doing the defense. You just get it automatically if you complete it. I would never suggest doing these supply runs. Otherwise, I think maybe they were useful before when you would just concentrate on maybe manufacture. They went up to level 10 or something before, and their benefits were much higher. And so doing a supply run for something that you really invested into would be worth it. Even on one like this that's giving a very high production of piece of 8 comparatively to other manufacturers, getting an extra 15 isn't worth the poppy, and it isn't. You have to actually go there. None of these manufacturers are you able to port to directly, so you'd have to go to these with the product and manually do these supply runs to boost the production. The only real scenario I can see this is if you're doing like Ascension modules and you really need one and you can't get it somewhere else or something, you just want to finish off, fine, I guess. But right now this is kind of a worthless mechanic, and the only way I would really suggest interacting with it is if you do a defense and then you just get it automatically. You don't actually need the product. It just puts the supply run in there, and so you get a little bonus on top of doing the defense. Now let's look at the defense. Has something in the tree as well. Okay, so this is where you go in the tree if you're interested in doing these defenses. Again, the rewards are the best out of all the opportunities. The negative is it does have a timer, and you do have to stay throughout that whole timer. There are ships spawning the whole time during that period, and until that timer ends, you do have to stay there. Now, the exception will be sometimes you'll see it'll say spectral defense, and this is where the main Godin ship, the ghost ship, spawns, and he'll be bringing in other ships as well. But the win condition for that is just to kill that ship. So if that's something you're capable of and you can do it within the timer and before your base falls, that one is better because you just win as soon as you kill that ship. And the other ones you do have to stay for the timer. Now, if you do any of these defenses, I would suggest speccing into this one. This works in one of two ways. Either it's giving like a damage reduction to your base. You'll see a bar that is starts as full, and then as you're defending, ships will either be attacking your base or they'll be attacking you. But when they're attacking the base, the health bar will go down, and when it goes down to 0, you lose, and then you don't complete the defense. Now, if you don't complete the defense in this and in PvP events, you do get like a little bit of a reward, just not much. But if you're doing any of these defenses, if you like doing them, just spec into this. It does matter. And again, it's either giving you like a 50% higher health bar, or it's giving you some sort of damage reduction. But the difference between this is when I didn't spec into this and I was doing defenses, I was failing them sometimes. Once I've spec'd into this, that hasn't happened since. So I would suggest doing this. if you do like doing those defenses. I don't think it helps like your towers hit harder or anything like that. I just think it helps your base not, either for damage reduction or a bigger health bar. But that does matter if you're not just immediately destroying everything, which, um, you know, even with a level 15 frigate, I was failing these initially without specking into this sometimes. So I would suggest doing that. All right, now let's go into the order and the tree that you should basically be looking at when you're doing these manufactories. We went all over the other stuff, including the defense that we just talked about. So those are all things you should spec into, either the top of the tree or the bottom of the tree for those activities that you like doing. Now, as far as the manufactories, that's going to be mostly down here to get more of them, and then each of the factions as well. So we went over these where we want to increase the number, and so those show up all over here, and as you get down further into the tree, they will cost more. I believe this one costs like 15k to get, and then the one before it costs 10. So essentially, if you're at this node and you want 8 more, you're going to be paying more than 3k per additional manufacturing max to get those 2 nodes. And then there are the nodes let's see where these are. Yeah, so within each faction, there's also this node. I believe this costs 8,000, and this will give you an additional 3. Now, this doesn't just mean additional max of 3 within that faction. It is just adding to your total. So between all of the nodes in this part and then this, you are getting your total of 76. So with, I think there's, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so you're getting 48 from there, and then you're getting another 3 from each of these, so another 18 through the faction ones, and then you start with 8, and then that gives you your max there. So that's how you increase the max for all of those. And how I would do that is, again, if you're a newer player, you're upgrading your ship, you need pieces of 8 for that. Prioritize that first. The further you get and the quicker, the more pieces of 8 and materials and whatever you're going to be making through each hour of play. So I would prioritize that over the manufactories. This is the second priority. And then you're going to want to combine getting more of these. And again, I would do these first before moving to the faction ones, because these are 8,000. These are going to be cheaper, the first 4 there, until you get to the end, where between these 2 nodes it costs 25,000. So with this costing 8,000, you're getting a little less than 3 per, and these are costing a little more than 3k per. So I would do those last as far as the raising your cap, and I would do these right before those, but these would come after the other 4 that are in the bottom of the tree. And then you have to raise the level. These I would do early, 1 in each faction tree here right at the beginning, and then I would get to this one that's going to be level 3, and this one that you're going to do level 4. And this is another reason to do these faction ones before you get to the end here, because you need that level anyways, right? So by doing that and then coming here and getting to the level 4, you're taking the most advantage that you can of this node by doing these. And then you want to combine leveling up your manufacturers with getting new ones. I would prioritize basically based on your pieces of 8 that you have, right? So If you're right near your cap, you only have like one more that you can get, and you don't have the piece of 8 to like get another one of these to raise your cap. But you did, you know, get this to level 3 capability or whatever. And I would just kind of evenly do these. I wouldn't worry about like, oh, I do this faction first and do that faction. I would just kind of do them all kind of simultaneously. But anyways, I would just prioritize like how many you have and how quickly you can upgrade. So if you don't have the piece of 8 to say get this node for your next max on your cap, then while you're doing your opportunities, I would focus in on, you know, raising the level of the ones that you already do have. Right now, in general, I would prioritize just getting all of them. Right, so I would get new ones over leveling up old ones, but again, only if you can afford to kind of keep up with raising this cap without hampering upgrading your ship and, you know, ascending your weapons and all that kind of stuff that you want to do to be more efficient with what you're doing with your, you know, your ship. Now, if you're someone who already has a, you know, level 15 ship and you're doing whatever, then you know, you can kind of use all of your pieces of 8 towards upgrading your tree here. Okay, now let's go to what else is in the tree that's important here. These are going to be done after, in my opinion, you get your kind of after you get these nodes here, after the max that you're benefiting from, you know, doing your opportunities to get them up to level 4. Then the next two things you're going to want to do after that, besides getting the last of your, you know, if you're near your cap, then yeah, go ahead and do these first. But if say you have all of yours, you have all 76 unlocked, you know, and you're still capturing these, the next things on the tree you want to be doing is these two things. So this is just going to raise the profit for anything that uses Imperial Jade. And then you also want to do this for each of these nodes. This unlocks the production both for you if you're using the distilleries and laboratory, but it also unlocks it for all your manufactories. So you see most of these factions have this, both this node and this middle node, where you're unlocking a new production, and you're also raising the production for that. Like for that was rum, and this is what gold rum. Yeah. And not all of them have an additional production. So you see these 3 all did, and then this one doesn't, right? It still has this that you want to go ahead and go into, and then that one has one, and that one has them. So it looks like this is the only faction that doesn't have that additional production. And so you're going to have 5 other ones that you do want to select this higher production. And now what you want to do with that, every time you do that, what I would do is go through the manufactories you own and look at their production here. So if you're just doing pieces of 8 like I'm doing, you see there's varying you know, amount. It only has 2. Okay, this one is, let's go with a good one here. Okay, so this has a bunch of different ones, right? So when you unlock an additional one, I would go through your manufactories and see if they have that ability to make that new production. Now, if they do, what I would do is one, go get the pieces of 8, either send a ship or go get it if it has, you know, a decent amount on it, and then go ahead and switch production. But you want to do the pieces of 8 first. All right, and you kind of want to do that for each of your manufactories. So again, you're looking to see, did I unlock anything that's going to give me more? And then if it did, go collect the pieces of 8. Again, if it only has like, you know, 50 on it or something, you decide if you're going to bother collecting it, but it will zero it out if you switch it, and then you can raise it to the higher production if that new unlock in the tree gave you a higher production for it. And again, it does cost silver, and it'll take all of your piece of 8 that it's already produced away at that point. Okay. Now the other thing that you do want to concern yourself with that, um, again, is that this is unlocking, for example, this one. This is unlocking the production for yourself as well, and your distillery, for example, for this Gold Skull rum. So this is how you do that. It's not somewhere else in the tree. It doesn't just happen automatically. So if you want the upgraded versions of products that you can make of the Helm materials, these are the spots in the trees that you want to do. But again, you basically want to do it for all five, anyways, because you're going to want to be raising the production value of your manufactories. So, okay. Now the last thing within this tree, and you see I don't have them selected, will be for additional just things that you want to make that aren't pieces of 8. So if that is the case, then each faction is going to have the ability to unlock that stuff as well. So for example, I'm just going to go to one. Again, I would probably, if I'm going to make stuff, it would be something like, Ascension modules or something like that. But let's just look at one. And say we wanted to make something here. Now, if you do any of these, instead of it costing silver to produce pieces of 8, you're going to be spending pieces of 8 to make these products. And now if there was just something that you really wanted and you wanted to keep making it and you know you're going to keep needing it, I would also assign a ship here and keep it here. Now we'll go over this in a second, but basically I could just, and you see the recommended level. You can go 2 levels below that and still be safe, but anything further than that, you can lose shipments and stuff. So I wouldn't suggest doing anything. If this is saying level 11, I wouldn't go below level 9. And then you see the capacity here. This is going to go up per level up to level 11. At level 11, it gets to 610, and then everything up to level 15, it stays there. Now, the way this works is one of 2 ways. Either the manufacturer is maxed out, and then your ship is going to be sent. Now the capacities never drop below 610, so this isn't really the way it works. But if it was full, whatever ship that you put on it, it's going to head out immediately. Let's find one that has over 610 here. All right, so this has 708. You see the capacity, it's 1250. Now we're going to go to a ship. And we'll just do this first one here. So it's going to take 610. Now, if this manufacturer only had, say, 400 on it right now, we could assign a ship and then wait for it. When the manufacturer reached to 610, it would go ahead and send out. And it would just be sitting there waiting. Now, while it is assigned to this, you can't go use it for other activities. So it does use up a ship. And now, while this is out at sea, you see the timer here. This is unavailable to upgrade or do anything else with. Now we do want to do usually, again, unless you're making Ascension modules or something important, or you've changed it to make something important production wise other than pieces of 8, I would not keep ships assigned to the port. So what you can actually do is go ahead and go to unassign here right after you do it. And now once this shipment is complete, it'll just go back to being an available ship to do whatever you want with it. If you don't do that, it'll just stay assigned here, and then it won't show up in your upgrade list or able to use it. And so you'd have to go back and either find where the port is or go to a different port that wouldn't be sending the ship out, assign the ship to that, then unassign it to take it off wherever it is, in order for that to become available. So you see the little ship icon though, and then that will disappear once the shipment's complete because the ship is no longer assigned to it. All right, so let's go over the last few things within the tree. So from here, these manufacturers do require silver, and so there's three different areas. You have the Africa area, the Red Isle region, and you have the East Indies. So let's go ahead and see by holding down square here for me. It's fully funding everything that's here. Now, if you have any of these making something other than pieces of 8, then there's going to be a pieces of 8 cost associated with that, and you fund this here as well. So you do have to do these for each of the 3 areas. We did it for that one. This lasts about 2 days, funds it for about 2 days. So if you aren't logging in often, you only have 2 days worth of production, sitting here, or the manufacturers themselves, capped out at production. Okay, so the last thing we need to go over is kind of how to order our acquiring of manufacturers, right? So this isn't just a straight, this is the best for everyone to do strategy. So let's talk about 3 different types of people. First of all, let's talk about the type of person that I've been with playing this game. So someone who's playing quite a bit, logging in consistently. How should I go about acquiring these and ordering them? Now, what I have found, this is not what I did initially because I didn't know this, but you will see this as you're doing your manufacturers. So every 20 minutes, a certain amount pop up as far as availability to do these, and it is not completely random from what I can tell. And I've been playing for weeks now, so I've been able to see a lot of these pop up every 20 minutes. Now what happens is most of the opportunities are going to be right around here, in your starting den, a large portion of those. So manufacturers specifically that come up over here that you have not acquired, I would prioritize those getting and leveling up. And this second area is the second most common as far as what I can tell. And then I still have like level 2 manufacturers over here just because they never pop up. And it's oftentimes, you might see 5 of them pop up and not one of them are going to be for over here. So for the type of person that is playing often and playing consistently, getting these funded and picking them up with ships. Now let's go over real quickly. So you saw going to and this is how I do it, unless I'm like gonna go say we're gonna go raid this fort. There's no reason for me to send a ship to go get this stuff because I'm gonna go there and then I can just manually take the pieces of 8 off of it. So that's one way to do it. You can just manually go to each area and take the pieces of 8 off it with the ship that you're currently doing. And so if you like doing that, you could just make a trail where you go through all of them and you take all the pieces of 8. None of these are ports though, so you do have to at least, for example, this is a port, so you can go here and then get to here. But otherwise, there's no way to fast travel to any of these. So you'd have to just go there with your ship and then take the pieces of 8 off it. As you click on the manufacturer, it'll give you the option to buy product, plunder, or just take the pieces of 8 off of it. Second way is sending a ship, and again the ship will only take it if it's maximum. You kind of see that the maximum goes down based on the ship if it has enough product to fill up the ship. So this will only go out if there's 340 sitting here, for example. And again, 610 is the maximum. That starts at level 11, and then anything level 11 through level 15 for your ship will only take 610. Third way is this. So some of these areas, and you see them, separated, they'll each have some sort of bonus associated with them. You can just have this be auto collection, but it does take a cut. It takes 10% of what you would take. So you can just take these through holding down square here, and then all the ones in this region would be cleared out, and it would take a 10% like tax for doing that. So you can do that as well. There are many regions that have that. And then there's some other bonuses, like it gives you silver every hour, which isn't worth much, or maybe it gives a bonus to, yeah, so it just gives a different kind of bonus for having all of these. So let's talk about the second type of player. The second type of player plays consistently but doesn't play a whole lot. That person, I would prioritize the order of similar to that first person, where you're trying to get manufactories that are over here, but you may want to focus in on the areas that get these auto collections, right? So you may want to try to complete, the manufactories for the particular area. Like right here, there's 4 of them, so you may want to try to finish that region for that, and that's how you may want to prioritize getting those, as far as just making it easier for yourself. So instead of having to send ships, consistently while you're playing, or you might not have a bunch of ships to send out to collect these, and you certainly don't want to go collect them manually. You may want to focus in on these areas that have the auto collection, and then trying to complete the area so that auto collection becomes enabled. So that would be how I would do it if I'm not spending a lot of time, but I am, say playing nightly, but only for like half an hour, or whatever it is. Then that would be, I'd still care about manufacture and still do them, but maybe I'd prioritize these auto collection areas and completing them more than someone else would. Now, the third type of person would be the person who plays like seasonally. Maybe they play a lot, but they play a variety of games, so they're playing, as the new season launches, maybe playing for a couple weeks or a month or whatever, but not logging in consistently after that. These manufacturers are really meant, one, you have to fund them at least every 2 days. You have to collect them, and unless you have the auto collection, that can require, a bunch of ships that you have to send out, or you have to go get them. So that type of person isn't going to benefit from these much, in my opinion. That type of person, I would just prioritize doing the manufacturer opportunities based on what it gives you at that time, right? So if you want to do a PvP one that gives you 1,000 pieces of 8, and that's going to help you, and you get some gilded chests, and that's going to help you get some silver with the product that you get, then that's what you're basing, doing that particular activity at that time. I really wouldn't worry about acquiring any of these. I wouldn't worry about the tree too much, other than the activities that you do, like the top of the tree, up here. That would be more of what you focused in on, just based on what you do. But the manufacturers themselves, probably not, except for maybe, like unlocking the ability to, make the products yourself or whatever when you do play. But the manufacturers are really investments that, let's just look at this. You see how I said that these don't pop up on this region as much, and you see how these are all located in this region here, and that is the normal. So that is what I found, and that's why I would prioritize this region and then this region on your acquisition and upgrades for your manufacturers, because you're going to get all kinds of opportunities apparently right around this first den to get those. So those will be leveled up much easier. But I'm glad that popped up and showed what I've been seeing the whole time. It's not completely random. It's definitely weighted for this starting area over that. Okay, so anyways, that last person's not really worrying about getting new manufacturers, and maybe they're just doing the activities because it's worth doing at the time for the rewards that they get right away. But the long-term benefit is really for the player that's logging in consistently, and even better if you're playing a lot where you have the ships available to go collect all this and get a benefit from it. Okay, well, I think that is about it for this video. Hopefully I've covered everything thoroughly, and any new players understand the system better and kind of what to do as far as building your empire or building your tree out based on the activities that you like doing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. You guys have a good one. Bye.